You are at the bottom of the stairs. You glance up. You quietly calculate the climb. You grip the railing tighter than you used to. By the third step, your knee gives you that warning twinge. By the time you reach the top, your knee feels hot, and you are already dreading the trip back down. Here is what almost no one explains to you. The pain you feel on those stairs is not because your knee joint has simply worn out. It is because 4 specific muscles around your knee, which are supposed to share the load with the joint, have quietly become weaker. Your quadriceps, your glutes, your calves, and the small stabilizers that hold the knee steady on a single leg. When those 4 muscles go quiet, your knee joint takes most of the load instead of sharing it. That is what causes the twinge. That is what causes the knee to buckle. And that is exactly what we can fix. Wake those 4 muscles back up in the right order, and the load shifts off the joint and back onto the muscles where it belongs. Stairs become just stairs again. No surgery, no bracing, no mystery. Today, I am sharing 5 gentle, knee-safe exercises that target those 4 muscle groups in the right order. No deep squats, no lunges, no special equipment. Every move is done at home with a sturdy chair or a kitchen counter for support. And every move has an easier version for beginners. The 5th move on this list, which we will save for the end, is the real trick. It directly trains the one specific kind of strength that fails when you are going downstairs, which is where most seniors feel the worst pain. Physical therapists save this move for last because it is the one that delivers on the promise. Stay with me through all 5 in order because they build on each other. Let us start with number 5. The first move on our list is the seated leg extension. It targets your quadriceps, which is the muscle group on the front of your thigh that does most of the work when climbing stairs. There is a smaller muscle inside the quad called the VMO, sitting just above the inner edge of your kneecap. It controls how your kneecap tracks when you bend and straighten your knee. When the VMO weakens, the kneecap drifts slightly off course, which is one of the biggest causes of stair pain. This move wakes up both the quad and the VMO without putting any weight through the knee joint. This makes it the safest possible starting point. Sit tall in a sturdy chair with both feet flat on the floor. Sit forward enough so that your back is not pressing into the chair. Rest your hands lightly on your thighs. Slowly straighten your right knee, lifting your foot off the floor until your leg is as straight as it comfortably gets. Do not lock the knee hard, just extend it. At the top, gently rotate your foot outward about an inch, which fires the VMO a little harder. Hold for 5 seconds. Lower your leg slowly. That is 1 rep. Do 10 reps per leg. The most common mistake is kicking the leg up too fast. If you do that, momentum does the work, the muscle does not, and the VMO never wakes up. Slow the lift down to a full 2 seconds up and 2 seconds down. Another mistake is leaning back into the chair as you lift. This lets the hip flexor take over and shortcuts the quad. Sit tall the whole time. A third mistake is pointing the toes straight up or letting them rotate inward. Slight outward rotation is what targets that inner quad. That detail is what makes this move actually fix knee tracking instead of just being a generic leg lift. If full extension feels like too much, lift only halfway with the knee still bent. The smaller range of motion still wakes the quad without asking for full strength. As you build up, extend further and pause longer at the top. You can also add a tiny ankle weight or a half-filled water bottle resting on your shin once you are stronger. But only do this after a couple of weeks at body weight. The best time to do this is first thing in the morning before you climb any stairs that day. A warm quad climbs much better than a cold one. You should feel the muscle on top of your thigh working, especially on the inner side near your knee as you hold the extension. Muscle soreness the next day is normal. Sharp pain in the knee joint during the move is not, and it means you should stop. There is one detail worth knowing about why this move matters so much. The kneecap rides in a small groove at the bottom of your thigh bone. The VMO is the muscle that pulls it inward into that groove. When the VMO weakens, which happens to almost every senior over 70, the kneecap drifts slightly outward. That drift is what causes the grinding feeling in the front of the knee and the pain on stairs. Strengthening the VMO is one of the most direct ways to fix that grinding. The seated leg extension with that small outward foot rotation is one of the few exercises that targets it without loading the knee joint. Here is a practical add-on. Once you can do 10 reps with a 5-second hold easily, Try a 10-second hold for the last 2 reps of each set. The longer hold deepens the strength gain without adding any joint load. Roll your ankles a few times. Number 4 is the supported calf raise. Your calves do 2 specific jobs on stairs. Going up, they push you onto each step. Going down, they absorb the impact as your foot lands. Weak calves mean both phases overload the knee because the lower leg cannot do its share of the work. Strong calves give the knee a partner. Stand behind a sturdy chair with your hands lightly on the chair back. Keep your feet hip-width apart and your weight evenly on both feet. Slowly rise onto the balls of both feet, lifting your heels as high as they can go. Hold the top position for 2 seconds with the calves squeezed. Slowly lower yourself back down. That is 1 rep. Do 12 to 15 slow reps, rest, and then do another set. There are a few mistakes to watch for. The first is bouncing through the reps. Bouncing uses momentum, not muscle. Each lift should take 2 seconds up and 2 seconds down with a real pause at the top. The second mistake is gripping the chair with your hands to pull yourself up. The chair is for balance only, not a lifting handle. Keep your hand pressure light enough that you could lift one hand off and still be steady. The third mistake is bending the knees as you rise. Keep the knees soft, but do not change their angle throughout the lift so the calves do the work, not the quads. If the standing version feels unsteady, do the seated version. Sit tall in a chair with your feet flat and your hands on your thighs. Slowly lift both heels off the floor while keeping the toes down. Use the same tempo and the same hold. The seated version still trains the calf, just without the balance demand. Once that gets easy, progress to standing with the chair. Eventually work towards single leg calf raises, lifting only one heel at a time with the other foot just resting beside it. Single leg calf raises double the load on the working calf. This translates directly to how stairs demand each leg work alone. For the best results, do this move twice a day. The calves are small muscles that respond best to frequent, short doses rather than one long session. Tag it onto things you already do, like brushing your teeth or waiting for the coffee to brew. You should feel the working sensation high in the back of your lower leg, near where the calf meets the back of the knee. That is the area that powers your stair push-off. Here is an important detail about how this protects the knee. When you walk downstairs and your foot lands on the next step, your calf is the first muscle to absorb that impact. A strong calf catches the force in the lower leg. A weak calf passes that force straight up into the knee joint. This is why seniors with weak calves often feel a sharp jolt in the knee on the way down, even when going up does not hurt. Training the calf to absorb impact is essentially giving your knee a shock absorber. Here is a practical tip on form. As you rise onto the balls of your feet, focus the pressure through your big toe and second toe, not your pinky toes. Pressing through the inner part of the ball of the foot keeps the ankle aligned and the calf loading evenly. Pressing through the outer edge rolls the ankle slightly and shifts force away from where it is most useful. Take a breath. Number 3 is the engine of the body. The third move is the supported standing hip hinge. This one targets the muscle group that does the most work, climbing stairs while taking the most load off your knee. Your glutes, the muscles in your buttocks, are larger and stronger than your quads. When the glutes fire properly, they drive the hip forward and up, which lifts your whole body to the next step. The knee just bends and straightens along the way. When the glutes are quiet, the quad and the knee have to do the glutes' job. That overload is what creates that deep ache after a flight of stairs. Stand facing the back of a sturdy chair about an arm's length away. Keep your hands light on the chair and your feet hip-width apart with your knees soft. Keeping your back long and straight, push your buttocks gently backward and let your upper body tip forward as a counterweight. Your spine must stay long the whole time. Go to about a 30 to 45 degree forward lean. You should feel a pull in the back of your thighs and at the bottom of your buttocks. Hold for 3 seconds. Then drive your hips forward by squeezing your buttocks hard to return to standing tall. The squeeze is what counts here. Do 10 slow reps, rest, and then do another 10. The most common mistake is bending forward from the waist instead of hinging from the hips. Bending rounds the lower back and stresses the spine. Hinging keeps the back flat and shifts the work into the glutes. The cue that fixes this is to imagine a string tied to your tailbone, pulling it backward toward the wall behind you. Your tailbone moves back, your chest tips forward as a response, and your spine stays straight the whole time. A second mistake is letting the knees travel forward as you hinge. The knees should stay roughly stacked over the ankles and not drift toward the toes. If your knees move forward, the move turns into a half squat and stops training the glutes. A third mistake is using the chair like a tow rope on the way back up. The squeeze of the buttocks should lift you, not your arms. If the standing version feels like too much, do the seated hip hinge. Sit on the front edge of the chair with your feet flat. Slowly hinge forward an inch or two from the hips, then squeeze your buttocks to come back upright. The seated version trains the same firing pattern without asking for any balance. Progress to standing with 2 hands on the chair, then 1 hand, then no hands. For best results, do this right before you use the stairs, not just as a daily exercise. A set of 8 hinges takes 30 seconds and primes the glutes to fire on the climb. Many seniors find their knees feel notably quieter on the first flight after this priming. That is the glute taking back its share of the work. It is a useful way to understand why this matters so much for knee pain. The glute is connected to the same chain of muscles that controls the knee from above through the hip. When the glute is weak, the hip rotates slightly inward as you load each leg on the stairs. That inward rotation passes down into the knee, twisting the joint a little with every step. That tiny twist, repeated thousands of times, is what wears the knee out. A strong glute keeps the hip steady, which keeps the knee tracking straight and protects the joint. So, when we strengthen the glute, we are not just adding power for the climb, we are correcting the alignment that causes wear. One more practical cue. As you hinge backward, you should feel the weight shift slightly into your heels, not your toes. If you feel weight pressing into the front of the foot, your knees are drifting forward and the move has turned into a half squat. Reset, push the buttocks further back, and feel the heels load. And now, we are getting close to the trick. Number 2 is the supported step-up hold. This is where everything we have built starts to come together on one leg. Stairs are not a 2-legged action. They are a series of single-leg lifts, alternating left and right. If your knee cannot feel steady under your full body weight on one leg, every step feels uncertain. This move trains that single-leg sturdiness in a static, slow hold. It builds strength in the quad and glute without any of the impact or motion that flares up sore knees. Find a step about 4 to 6 inches tall, either the bottom stair or a low platform with a railing or sturdy chair beside it. Place your right foot fully on the step, flat. Your left foot stays on the floor. Your right hand holds the railing. Now, instead of stepping all the way up, shift your weight onto your right foot, pressing through the heel in the middle of the foot. Do not lift the left foot off the floor. Just feel the right leg carry more of your weight until about 80% is on the right. Keep the knee soft, not locked, with the kneecap tracking directly forward over the second toe. Hold for 5 seconds. Slowly shift your weight back. Do 8 reps. Switch sides. The biggest mistake is locking the knee of the loaded leg. A locked knee dumps the load into the joint instead of the muscles, which is the opposite of what we want. Keep a small, soft bend during the entire hold. The second mistake is letting the knee wobble inward toward the other leg as you load it. That inward wobble is what causes most stair pain on the way down. Keep the knee tracking straight ahead in line with the middle of the foot. Imagine a flashlight strapped to your kneecap shining straight forward, and do not let it drift left or right. The third mistake is hanging on the railing. The hand is for balance and safety, not for lifting. Keep the grip light. If even the bottom step feels like too much, do this on flat ground first. Stand by the chair, shift your weight onto one foot, and lift the other foot just off the floor by an inch or two. Hold for 3 seconds. The flat ground version still trains single leg loading without any height change. Once that is solid, move to the bottom step. Once that is solid, extend the hold to 10 seconds. For best results, breathe steadily through the hold and gently squeeze the buttock of the loaded leg as you shift weight onto it. The glute squeeze stabilizes the hip, which stabilizes the knee. Without that squeeze, the knee absorbs more side-to-side force than it should. Within a couple of weeks, that first step up will feel grounded instead of wobbly. Here is a note on what this move is actually teaching the knee. The kneecap and the joint underneath it are stable only when 3 things are working together. The quad pulls the kneecap upward, the VMO pulls it inward, and the glute keeps the hip from collapsing. When all three fire at once, the knee feels solid. When even one of those three goes quiet, the knee feels unsteady. The step-up hold trains all three at the same time, which is why it is so much more effective than isolated quad or glute work alone. It is the integration move, the rehearsal before the real trick. If you want to make this harder once the basic version feels easy, try the same hold while turning your head slowly to look left, then center, then right. The added head movement challenges your balance system without changing the load on the knee. It teaches the knee to stay steady even when your visual world is shifting, which is what happens when you glance up on real stairs. And now, onto what we have all been building toward. Number 1 is a slow, eccentric step down, the trick promised at the beginning. This move directly trains the exact kind of strength that fails when you are walking downstairs. It is the reason most seniors hurt more on the descent than the ascent. Going upstairs uses what is called concentric strength, where the muscle shortens to lift you. Going downstairs uses eccentric strength, where the muscle lengthens to lower you under control. Eccentric strength is the first kind of strength to disappear with age, often decades before concentric strength weakens. It is also the kind that takes the most load off the knee joint. A muscle that lengthens under control absorbs force that would otherwise hit the cartilage. Rebuild it, and the descent that used to hurt becomes quiet. Stand on the bottom step of your staircase facing outward with the railing beside you. Both feet should be on the step. Keep a light grip on the railing. Now, with your left foot supporting your full weight on the step, slowly lower your right foot toward the floor below. The lowering must take 3 to 5 full seconds every single rep. Your right foot should only lightly tap the floor. Most of your weight stays on the left leg the entire time. The moment your right foot touches, press up through your left leg and return to standing on the step. Do 5 to 6 step downs per leg. Rest between sides if you need to. The most common mistake is dropping down too fast. Speed defeats the entire purpose. The slower you lower yourself, the more eccentric load the quad absorbs, and the more your knee learns to control the descent. If you cannot lower yourself in 3 to 5 seconds, the step is too tall. Use a lower one. The second mistake is letting the standing knee cave inward toward the other leg as you lower yourself. That inward collapse is the exact pattern that causes knee pain on real stairs. Keep the knee tracking forward over the middle of the foot the whole way down. Strap that imaginary flashlight to your kneecap and do not let it drift. The third mistake is using the railing to hold your weight. Keep a light grip only. If the bottom stair feels like too much, start lower. A thick book or a 2-inch platform gives you a tiny version of the same motion. That smaller version still trains the eccentric quad. As you get stronger, move to a 4-inch step and then to the bottom stair. The progression is measured in inches, not feet. Better control beats more height every time. For best results, do this move once a day, not more. Eccentric work creates muscle fatigue, and it needs time for recovery. Some soreness in the front of the thigh the next day is normal. Sharp pain in the knee joint during the move is not, and it means you should stop and check with your doctor. Done consistently for 3 to 4 weeks, most seniors notice they can walk downstairs without the railing for the first time in years. The eccentric strength has come back. That is the trick. So, there it is. 5 gentle, knee-safe exercises that bring your stairs back. The seated leg extension to wake the quad and the VMO. The supported calf raise for push-off and impact absorption. The standing hip hinge to fire the glutes that take the load off the knee. The supported step-up hold to teach the knee single-leg sturdiness. And the slow, eccentric step-down, the trick that rebuilds the lowering strength that stairs actually demand. Start with whichever one feels most doable today. The seated leg extension is the safest place to begin. Save the eccentric step-down until you have had a week or two with the earlier moves. The knee needs the supporting strength built first, or the trick will not have a foundation to work from. The upstairs bedroom is still yours. The second floor bathroom is still yours. The landing where you used to pause can become just a landing again. Now, we want to hear from you. How does your knee feel on the stairs right now? Is it sharp pain, a dull ache, or just stiffness? And which of these 5 moves are you going to try first? Share your experiences and your opinions in the comments below. We love to hear them. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with a friend who needs it, and subscribe for more senior health insights that actually work. Thanks for watching.